2023 has definitely been a big year. Some huge titles, some nice surprises, and definitely some disappointments too. A big disappointment for me was the latest Settlers. But like most fans, I got hyped again when the original creator of the Settlers series announced he was creating a new game to basically revive that Settlers vibe and improve on it. Pioneers of Pagonia was born. Fast forward a few months and we got some first playtests, some demos which received amazing positive reception, and today I will show you exclusive gameplay and my review of the early access version which is launching on December 13. Let's jump right in. Right away I love the music, I think it goes so well with the theme and the sort of gameplay that they're going for. Now to be clear, this is a pre-release version, so the version that you will all have access to on December 13 will be even better. Some bugs will be fixed, balancing could be better, those type of things. Big thanks to the developing team for giving me this pre-release version so that I can show it to you. But to be crystal clear, this is not a sponsored video. They haven't seen what I'm going to say. This is just purely my humble review. And again, this is early access, so not the full game, but look at this clear roadmap. We know already what is coming, when many things are coming, like the economy update will be in February right away. And the devs have also mentioned to me that there will be multiple patches in between these bigger updates, for example for UI enhancement, improving the NPC villages, better notification, Steve achievements, and more. And what I really like is that so far the team has clearly been listening to the feedback to improve the game. For example, myself and a few others said during the first playtest that we need a better production statistic menu. A bit like the control Q in Anno 1800 if you're familiar with it. And this has been added to the roadmap over here, production statistics. Similarly, in the demo review that I made of the game, you may remember I talked about the speed. This has been changed too. So spoiler alert, while this is only early access, I definitely recommend buying this one. There's no need to wait for the full version. By the way, if you're wondering, the early access version will be priced at 30 euros, 29.99 euros and dollars as previously announced. Now, having said all of this, this is not perfect, of course, so let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Going back to the basics, Pioneers of Pagonia is a city builder. It's an economy simulation with some RTS elements if you want to. Think about Stronghold, somewhat Anno and games like this. Now what's really important right off the bat is you have a map generator. So infinite map generation with a lot of customization element, and importantly you also have a map ID, a map seed if you wish, so that you and your friends or nemesis can play on the same map and compare your progress. Right, you can just copy over here this map ID, send it to your friend, and then they can paste it there and play on the exact same map. You have some predefined maps by the way too, but yes, you can customize the map completely. For example, you can choose how much you have at the start, you can choose how many enemies will be on the map, very few or very many. There's a lot of different options, the difficulty too, the amount of NPCs that are on the map, type of forest, mountain, lakes, everything. You can generate it all. And as I said earlier, you can play with enemies or not, right? You can say none or you can say many. That's really cool. You can have a chill experience if you want, or you can have a bit more challenging, intense experience. And these enemies are not just like a one AI player, that has the same base as you and you're doing 1v1. It's actually multiple camps of bandits, spectra, like you can see on the screen right now, werewolves and other enemies, each with their specific behaviors. Like for example, some of them are going to try to steal your resources, some of them are just gonna try to attack you and kill you. They have their own strengths and weaknesses, so you need to have, specific soldiers to attack each. And the really cool thing is that, those camps of bandits will also grow with you. They can get bigger if you don't take care of them. But there are also some neutral villages, some AIs if you wish, that will be expanding, which you can trade with, befriend, and even merge with them. Now, enough talking, let's just dive into a new game so I can show you some of the basics, and then I'll also load one of my more advanced saves so you can see a bit more. So here it is, our ship, the Venturer, has arrived on a new island. It's full of our people, it's full of resources to get us started. Obviously, all of these depend on your difficulty, right? We have over here some objectives to guide us. By the way, going into the options, over here we can show more details if we want to. It is, so for example, now when I over the build guard towers, I see some explanation and some guides for it. Really beautiful map, as you can see. You can have animals, berries, and many resources like the stone over here and much more. You can of course rotate the map as you wish. I would love a slightly higher zoom out, because this is, the maximum of the zoom out. The zoom in is pretty good, it's fine, but the zoom out, I would love a slightly bigger one, because your cities are gonna get way bigger than this. But this is often typical of a quality of life that comes later, so we'll see. By the way, I said, we have those objectives over here. This is a bit more of a guide. This doesn't mean you have to follow it, because everything is already unlocked. I can already build whatever I want, so you can focus on your specific strategy. Continuing quickly with the UI, we have the minimap in the corner over here, right? You can zoom out also the minimap, so you see the size of the island is definitely way bigger than what we have right now. And by the way, as you can see on this minimap over here of another save, you can see all of your buildings right on the map. You can see your roads, you can see your territory, you can see also all of the different resources. Like all of these are different resource deposits, iron, copper, etc. Right? I can see the different colors. Here is the kingdom of somebody else. Right? So that minimap is working really well for me. The only thing I would improve on is I'd love to have my military buildings, things like towers and camps, in another color, so I can really see quickly how well defended my territory is. At the top you have a fairly clean UI, but what I really like about it is you can choose which of the resources to display or not display. You can display all of them, or you can display only one for type of resources. So I think that's a really good, that's something that should be in all games. You can also see that for each of the resources, they're telling us what is available. Like I have 90, for example, copper in my reserves right now, but also how many has been reserved already for construction or production. So you see if you have enough basically to do your next production. So let's start building a bit, and with this I can show you some of the buildings that we have right away. As I said, everything is available from the start, so that's a bit different from Anno 1800 in that regard, right? Or some of the other even city skylines right now. As you saw, I made some roads that are very straight, but you don't have to, right? We can make them quite a different shapes, a bit as you want. It does create a bit like city skylines, those tiles where you'll be able to place your buildings. Of course, you have to build only inside your territory, but we'll be able to expand our territory, of course, very soon. So that was the roads over here. Then we have exploration and expansion. This is, as I just said, to expand our territory and also to defend it, by the way. We're gonna have things like guard tower, the garrison, the military camp, and the explorer hut. So the explorer hut is a bit like your scouts. You're gonna send explorers into the unknown, versus your guard tower is really to have guards to protect and also to expand the borders. To expand your borders though, you do need border stones, which we're gonna, we have some reserves, but we're gonna need to make more. So let me do, something like this, where I'm gonna put 3 guard towers a bit as sort of my end of my territory to start expanding. Then we have wood and stone, sort of the basic resources, right? But what's really interesting is even for the basic wood cutting hut, you have actually 3 types of wood. You have the softwood, the hardwood, and the firewood. And more importantly, once you have these sort of basic resources of wood, you're gonna transform them into the beams, the boards, and the firewood. And then that's not enough. You can transform them even more. Where is it? There's a couple of places, but for example, over here, right, I can transform my hardwood board that we just talked about into knives, pickaxes, etc. Or I can transform them into wooden spears or into wooden cogwheels, right, which are gonna be required, for example, for your soldiers, also to build some buildings. Some buildings will require, for example, if I go into my food over here, into my meal, the meal requires 2 wooden cogwheels. So you can start to see also the complexity of some of those chains of productions, which I really like. But yeah, let's start to see where do we have. So there's some wood over here, there's some wood over there. It's not really into my territory yet, but soon it will be. So maybe let's put it there, and let's put another one completely on the other side. So perfect. And you can also replant some forest right later on. The second big one is going to be your quarry for stone and limestone. But again, we're going to transform those raw materials into something else. Some cut stones or border stones, and then those cut stones into something else, and again and again. So this is really cool. And the limestone also into cement. So quarry, I see some stone there, so maybe let's put it over here, even if it's not yet into our territory. And while we're doing this, let me actually show you that one of my big complaints of the demo was when you're starting like this, it's a bit slow, right? Because you need a lot of your people to bring the resources. For example, this carrier is going to bring this wood to start building this one over here, right? It needs 4. Then we're going to have constructors that are going to, here it is, a builder that's going to build it. So that was a bit small, taking some time. What you can do is they have added over here the speed option. We can go to speed 5. Maybe we'll have more than 1 and 5 in the future, but at least we have the speed 5. So I really like this at the beginning. With this, we've been able to build very quickly this guard tower, for example. So now we have this guard tower. We're gonna need 10 guards, and you can see they're actually coming over here. Right, they are in highlighted white, which I really like because they help me know who's going where and are they still far away and those type of things. It will also require some border stones, and that's why I have some carriers bringing some. So as soon as those people arrive and some border stones arrive, they're going to start expanding, and I can tell them where I want them to expand, or I can tell them where I want them to patrol to secure an area. In this case, it's pretty easy. I think we're going to tell them to expand here. But for this one, for example, I could say really focus first here on the stone because I need that stone. Or here, I could say focus first on the forest because I really need that forest. And as you can see, they're actually starting to expand. This one just expanded the territory over here. You can see this one just expanded there, right? We have some notification, by the way, now, that are also better, going to tell us particularly important when we discover some enemies. So I like that. It's not too much in the middle of the screen, but still easy to see. So continuing a bit with some of our buildings, we have over here the food products. We can forage some mushrooms and things like this. I don't know if we have any in our territory right now. Actually, I don't see any. So we'll see later on. We can hunt. There's some animals here, for example. Oops, sorry, wrong click. But more importantly, in the future, you're gonna want to put a vegetable and crop farm with some farmland. So for example, let's do it here. I put a couple of those farms, which is really cool. You can put them anywhere. You can make them very close to each other. Or if you want, you can put them a bit random like this. So that's good. It's gonna require some water for to irrigate those farms. Then you can transform the wheat into flour, the flour into bread, right? That's a very advanced production chain. And all of this we need to give to our people, obviously, right? Our people are gonna want to sleep somewhere, so we have cottages and residences that are more advanced. Put a couple of cottages maybe over here and get us started. We're gonna want a tavern, which is where people are going to prepare food, and then they're going to eat on a table, a tavern table. I really like that concept, right? It does require a road on that one. They will also want probably to drink water when they're at the tavern, right? There's market stalls where we can sell the food. Oh, we've discovered some copper over here and some plants like some berries, raspberries. They're a bit further away, but soon we can basically use this forager to get it. Then we have advanced mining. This is like copper, coal, iron, silver. This is going to require some mines. Good thing we started to find some over here, right? I think there was some there, yeah. We have the copper, for example, over here. I see also on the mini-map here some copper. I'm sure we'll find some more soon. Then we can transform, those raw or into iron bar and silver bars, which will be obviously very important for more advanced materials. And similarly, things like the flax we can transform into rope or clothes, the leather and iron and clothes into armor and backpacks, the silver bars into coins to, have some riches. We need to have some coins to sell and buy things. And then here we have a lot of our army stuff, right? I want to make, for example, some hunting bows and wooden spears, some shields, here's some swords and lance, some iron shields and chainmail, some magic swords and blades, right? Some magic elements, which will require also some emeralds and rubies. And of course the military academy to actually make a lot of those soldiers, or the adventurer guild to train adventurers. Last but not least, we have storage, right? We're gonna want to place some storage in strategic location so that our people don't have to walk too far to bring resources all the time. Also a treasury to hide our coins and rubies and things like this. Trading with our partners, right? Trading with all of the AIs that we haven't really found here yet, but we will. If I remember correctly, it's already 42 buildings available, but as you can see, there are more coming for sure, right? Fishing hut, bigger storage, gold and gems and jewelry mining, and much more. So here it is, ladies and gents, jumping to a slightly more advanced save, because as you saw, sort of 2 hours in game, we've also just been attacked by thieves. We have done a lot more of the objectives. For example, we have sort of completed the exploration milestone. I've built enough of those explorers and guard towers to be able to expand my territory by more than 40,000 square meters. But I still have quite a lot to go, as you can see. Similarly, in the population, right, we started on 300, we have more than 400 now, right? We have actually more than 500 now. But at the same time, I actually see that I don't have enough houses, so we should build more houses. Even if I have quite a few of these houses there, right? We can see 10 people living over here, there's no newborns. Here we have 25 people because it's a residence, a bigger one. And by the way, look at some of these animations. I mean, it's not like the most beautiful you've ever seen, but I think it looks really good and it works in particular with the theme, right? It is very much the settlers' ways, in my opinion. And I like that we see which resources they're carrying, right? You can clearly see what they're carrying, what they're eating at the table, some guards, right? But yeah, this is a bit more of an advanced town, still quite early game to be honest, but we're expanding slowly but surely. We have, for example, also a garrison over here because there are some thieves there, right? The thief camp, it's not the biggest one, but as you can see, they have quite a few soldiers, and if they manage to steal things from me, and they will, if I'm not careful, because they actually hide, they sort of disguise themselves, those thieves, as normal people, and so if I don't have patrols, they can go through and then start stealing my resources. We have to definitely be careful, because if they steal things, then they're going to start growing and then have more soldiers, and quickly that can get out of hand. More farms over here, as you can see, are producing more and more. So that's all good. We have a military academy. I've started to make quite a few guards, for example. We have also a trading post because we have discovered over here one of those AI partners. One thing I'm a bit disappointed by is right now I don't see anybody walking around, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is something they said they're working on as I speak. So even by the 13th, maybe that will be fixed to have, basically a lot of people walking around in the AI cities too. But at least we have the AI city, and depending on how happy they are with me or friendly we are, I'll be able to do different types of trading. So we want to trade, more and more to get them to be friends with us, and at some point even potentially take over their territory, merge if you wish. On the map you'll also see, quest and mysterious location as this one, where we need to do something. For example, for this one we need to give it 14 wooden spears, and then something will happen. I also really like, the map. I think the maps are amazingly beautiful and also quite realistic. There is different elevations, but it's not like you have a huge mountain and nothing next to it. It's more like the mountain grows, as you can see, like this. You will see really different types of vegetation everywhere. But again, as I said at the beginning of the video, I would love a bit more of a zoom out, a bigger zoom out. That would be really good. Look at this forager, really full of food. You can see the storage over here next to it is already full, for example. And what I also think is really working well and it's pretty cool is for the advanced resource. Actually, for pretty much all resources, because even for your normal woodcutting here, I can choose which resource to gather and which to not. But what's really cool is for those more advanced ones like bows or spears, I can decide to make just one, or I can decide to make 5, or I can decide to make an infinite number basically until I have no more resources. And I think that's a really good, which will really enable you to tailor your strategy, like to focus on what you want to focus on. You see a lot of different, types of, you see a lot of different jobs, right? Diggers versus side carriers versus trade carriers versus builders. So again, you need to really be smart about your strategy if you want to conquer the map, if you want to be, the best. Similarly, we definitely have multiple types of soldiers, right? Basically normal soldiers, advanced ones, veteran ones with different, weapons and things like this. Now, as I said earlier, this is not a competitive RTS like Age of Empire or a bit like the New Settler tried to be. It's about building a giant city with complex production chains, and if you want, you have to protect your people and resources along the way, or if you want, you don't even have to because you can just play in sandbox with no enemies. So you don't really have that urgency of, I really have to develop faster to survive, right? It is a lot more of a feeling of relaxing fun at your own pace. I know some people may be disappointed by this, but I think some people will actually really enjoy that. So here I've told all of my guards to make sure that they claim the territory next to the thief camp as soon as possible, and also obviously guard that point. This is where all of the guards that are not doing anything will be most of the time, or they're going also back to the garrison to take more of these, and so soon we'll be probably fighting. They're gonna come close. Yeah, here it is. Oh no, they're killing me. Let's be careful. Oh, look at this, we killed one. Good. Yes. So depending on the enemy, you'll have different strengths and weaknesses. You'll need to have different types of enemies. Also here, this was a low difficulty map, but still they killed one of my guard there, for example, and here it is. We killed the camp by killing all of the thieves. So now we're okay, but right away we see another thief camp over here, which actually seem a lot bigger. Look at this, all of those thieves. Oh, there's two next to each other, so that's gonna be more of a challenge. But yes, what do you think? I'm keen to hear your thoughts in the comments. For me, it's not perfect, of course, it's early access, but we have a clear roadmap, and I know they're listening to the feedback. You have a beautiful theme, an animation, amazing music, some replayability for sure from the map point of view at least, with infinite number of maps. It has complexity, but also less urgency than a Frostpunk or even Anno, where the AI can take over from you. So I think this is also available for, a broader base of player. I would say I'm still a bit worried about the overall replayability. In a sense, I would have loved a bit of a campaign of sorts, even without a complex storyline. A campaign where you have, different missions where some of the buildings are not available, so you have to trade specific resources or do without those resources and still succeed. A bit like Stronghold often does, would have been cool in my opinion. But again, I'm keen to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I will also release over the next few days a full let's play in the hardest difficulty, so you can see this game, from start to finish if you wish. Smash the like button and thank you for watching.